One of the best ways to sell books is to speak. If you get on more stages and bigger stages, you'll sell more books. So how do you find those speaking engagements? How do you find the people who book speakers? Well, you're going to find out on today's episode. Hi, I'm Dan Janelle. I'm a book strategist. That means that no matter where you are in the book writing process, I can help you as a ghostwriter, book coach, or developmental editor. You can find more information at writeyourbookinaflash.com. Check it out. Now, let's get started. Our speaker today is Sam Richter. He's the developer of the Intel Engine, a very incredible tool that supercharges LinkedIn and Google so you can find the information you want with fewer keystrokes and get much more information than you ever thought possible by using Google alone. Now, let's get started.
Find answers to questions, what to do when people are spying on you, how to keep yourself away from the bad guys. But I guess I'm most known for how to find information, especially in a business and sales related sense. And what I teach is how to use Google and social media in ways that 99% of the planet doesn't know how to do. And then more important, what to do with it once you have information. So how do you leverage it to become to build value-based relationships, those sorts of things. Well, fast forward. So couple of years back, I decided to create a search engine that automated a lot of what I teach. And it's not a search engine in the sense that you're probably familiar with. So a traditional search engine basically scrapes the internet and stores that information in a database. You go into Google and type in 2 words, and Google says, here's the websites with those 2 words on it. So mine is really a search engine overlay. It sits on top of Google. It sits on top of LinkedIn. It sits on top of millions of other databases. And I'll get a little geeky with you because, as authors, you're probably pretty darn good at research. Google allows you to do what's called a 30-word Boolean algorithmic search. LinkedIn about a 10-word, and every database is a little bit different. So my system does an infinite number. So where Google says you can use 30 words, I might be doing 400 words in a search. I might be searching more than 600 different LinkedIn job titles in profiles in less than a second. So that's kind of what makes my system a little bit different. I leverage other people's technology. I didn't invent anything. I just bolted it together in ways that I guess no one's ever done before. So I produce them for every industry that I speak in. And of course, since I speak, I wanted to create one for myself and then, now provide that to others. So I'll show you a custom version for the speaking industry. Dan doesn't even know what I'm about to say. I've actually created a new product leveraging this called searchlink.ai. Without getting too details, what I'm going to show you, it's a little overwhelming. There's a lot in it, and most people don't need all of it. So with SearchLink AI, as the name kind of implies, I search LinkedIn. By the way, it's all within terms of agreements. I'm not scraping any data. Any source you get to, you go to the original data source. So theoretically, it's also the latest information. But the reason I mentioned Search LinkedIn is based on what your group is looking for, I could easily create a search link just for authors. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind, because everything I build is built by the people who use it. I start with a base template, if you will, and then based on other people's feedback on what they want to find, I'll customize it. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're looking at this, because some of it might not be relevant to you, but some of it you might say, geez, if you could find that, let me know what that is, and I can build one for authors. So I'm gonna really, I won't go through everything in detail. I kind of just hit the highlights. So for example, Conference Finder. If you want to speak at different conferences, you can go in and type an industry like manufacturing, 2023, and it will find conferences where you might want to speak, in person, virtual, or speaker RFPs. It helps if I spell things right. So I'm just going to do financial because I can spell that one quicker. Thank goodness for the squiggly red line, right? For all of us who write. So again, in-person conferences, virtual conferences, and then speaker RFPs. Now, the reason I'm going to spend just a second on speaker RFPs. So for example, I heard that many of you write in the healthcare space. So financial might be a really good one because maybe your topic is really relevant to financial advisors because they need to provide advice to their clients, probably related to health. So what this allows you to do, typically, as Dan and I, as professional speakers, we're not going to do call for speakers because frankly, they usually don't pay. But if you're selling from the back of the room, for example, a book, these can be really, really good because they're workshops where you get an hour in front of people to promote your content, promote your ideas. And in the back of the room, hey, what I shared with you today is basically one chapter out of this 30-chapter book. You should all get this for your clients. So this is where something like this could be helpful. And Dan, interrupt me at any time if I'm going too fast or if you've got questions. This one, speaker decision makers. So everyone that I build is really, again, custom for that industry. So for example, if Dan and I wanted to speak at 3M or any of you wanted to speak there, we can find a decision maker. And what I've done is I've customized. So this is running about this is about a 300 or 400 word search. And what it's doing is it's using artificial intelligence, AI, in the background to look for all synonyms of a word. So here's 3M's executive leadership, and then their event executives. So are they external event lead, or are they trade show and events, or are they meeting and events? So the system knows what to look for. It's not perfect. It's going to get what are called false positives, but in general, it works pretty good. Training executives, marketing executives, HR. I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to choose vice president under seniority. This does a good job of showing where the AI kind of works. So all of you are smart enough to go into LinkedIn and type in 3M Vice President Human Resources, and you would certainly find Laura, excuse me. But you would completely miss Deirdre because she goes by global benefits. She doesn't go by human resources. You would miss Yolanda. You'd even miss Sandy because even though she goes by human resources, she doesn't go by vice president. She goes by VP. So that's kind of how the system runs in the background. You can find association, contact information, and even financials. Skip down to trigger events. This may be relevant for some of your writing. This is a disruption that's going on in an organization. So I can type in a city name, Dallas, and find out what companies are moving to Dallas. So, okay, Caterpillar, relocating their global headquarters to Dallas. Maybe they need books for all their employees on culture. Maybe they need a speech on working with generations. So again, you type in the company name, you can find that decision maker. Determine contact info. This is just really a way, this is not a database like a list building tool, but it does allow you to find contact information. So I can type a company name like Caterpillar, and it will give me what's called the email naming convention. So how does this organization do their email? And as you can see, I don't own the database. I'm just pointing you to the database that has the information. So if you're looking for Joe Smith, it's probably going to be smith_joe@cat.com. So I'm just loading the information into the system, and the system's going out and finding the appropriate database for the answer. And you can even go in and verify. So I'll use my own email. You can verify that that's accurate. It'll go ping the server. Again, Hunter is just a different database that does that for a living. And then sometimes you can even find an email online. And if you can, oftentimes there's a phone number with it. Okay, so I call this meeting and speech prep, but this might really help you as an author. So under news search, I'll use myself as an example. So Sam Richter, speaker, most of us default to Google News, but Google News misses a lot. So I know I've been interviewed more than 2 times. And by the way, this changes every day. Every time I give a demo, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3. Google News misses a lot. So I built my own news engine. And by the way, there's a version of it that's free. You can use it's called yougotthenews.com. So this one is free. But basically what it does is I also search local newspapers, trade journals, magazine, industry journals, and I sort the information. So general news, so that's more like it, the 700 articles I've been interviewed in, press releases, blog posts, social media posts, videos, and podcasts. Industry reports. This might help you as well. There's also a free, this is also free. It's yougotresearch.com. So yougotresearch.com is the same as industry reports inside the Intel engine. Now, what I try to do is put the instructions right in the field. So whatever word I put in here, the word has to be the title of the report, or I can move it over here and make it more broad. So for example, I could type in healthcare. So the word healthcare must be in the title of this trend report. And all of these are third-party, theoretically objective trend reports. And they're all PDF files. So this should have, theoretically, some darn good data in it. You can print it, you can mail it, you can attach it to an email. I can do survey results. So now this, we're getting a little bit less relevant. Now I could remove the word payments as an example. I don't want payments. Survey results. Now we get different results. But let's say I want to broaden that. So again, this is where the word healthcare is in the title of the survey. I'm going to move it over here. So I'll get many, many, many more results. So for example, so we don't have the word healthcare in the title, but it's using synonyms to say, oh, okay, it's something related to health. Industry outlooks, and even other people's PowerPoint presentations. Pretty much leveraging Google, but just adding a long query in the background. Biz people search. I'm going to, search by seniority. Again, I'll choose big companies just so you can kind of see it in action. So you can say, well, who are the VPs? Who are the directors? Now, if you get this, it's not that you're in any trouble. It's, again, Google typically does, or not typically, Google allows you to do a 30-word search. I'm doing a 300-word search. So Google says you can't be human. You've got to be some kind of a robot trying to steal from us. As long as you click here, you're good. You're not in any trouble with Google or anything. Search by function, kind of similar to what you saw earlier with speaker decision makers. But now I'm going to go look at the core functions that are at a company. So who are the directors of sustainability? Who are the directors of customer support? Power search. I'll tell a little story on this one. It's kind of cool. So my daughter wanted to, graduates from college in May of 2020 in the heart of COVID. And she wants to get into fashion marketing in New York. Good luck, right? So she does what her advisor says, sends out more than 100 requests for an informational interview. And she got back the grand total of 0 responses. So I said, actually, I built this for her. I said, go in and try this. So advertising, or change that to or, not an and, or marketing in New York in the fashion industry. Now, my daughter was a Zeta Tau Alpha sorority member in college. So this allows you to kind of laser focus your search. So here are all the Zeta Tau Alphas in marketing who live in New York in the fashion industry. So now my daughter sends out 4 LinkedIn requests, but now she says, instead of, hey, can you help a college kid with an informational interview? It's, hey, can you help a fellow sorority sister out? And she sent out 4 requests, got 4 responses, and eventually landed her dream job. So this is all about what I teach is really how to be relevant. So, you can do goofy things, and I'll think about, I won't do any goofy things. We'll do some goofy searches on things you might want to find. And then Dan asked me to create this, actually. He said, Sam, could you do one of those for the book industry? So I said, I think I can. So if I want to go in and type in healthcare book, Well, this will find authors of healthcare books, ghostwriters of healthcare books,
Mm.
publishers of healthcare books, editors, reviewers, publicists or strategists. And again, there's some overlap, there's some false positive in here, but something leads me to believe that even though Catherine's a ghostwriter, she's also a publicist. Agents and book buyers.
Wow, I did not know you created this, Sam. This
I did it for you, Dan. So
this is pretty amazing to see reviewers of our books.
Yeah, like business might be better, because I don't think people call themselves a healthcare book reviewer, but they would definitely call themselves a business book reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
Or a fiction or nonfiction book reviewer.
And also the buyers and the agents. I think that's really important as well. And the publishers. So very, very clever. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of familiar names as you're coming
that's
up
cool.
in these searches too. I think there's Lisa Tenner, there's Susan Friedman.
That's awesome.
Lots of familiar names here. So I know these are really, really good results.
Cool. Company search, kind of as the name says. I can go in and say, hey, I'm interested in companies in Atlanta, in the healthcare industry, and they have to have between 1,000 to 5,000 employees. And we'll pull up those companies, again, just to be a little bit redundant. We'll grab that company name, copy C, go back up under search by function, and find the employees at that company. So who's in charge of purchasing? Because they all should get your book, or logistics and shipping, whatever it might be. There's another cool thing in here. Again, using Atlanta healthcare, classified business search. This is the only place I know that does this. We'll find you every veteran-owned healthcare business in Atlanta, every women-owned, every minority-owned, Hispanic-owned, Asian-owned, none there, Native American-owned, disadvantaged. So this would be, for some reason, their location is in a city where they get federal subsidies, hub zone, and another classification called 8A small businesses. So that might be helpful to you. Company details, kind of, again, as the name implies, I can go in and type in a company name. I'll choose the one that I know, Brand Point in Hopkins, Minnesota. And we can, again, looking at lots of different databases. So how big are they? How much revenue, contact information. If it's a nonprofit, it'll pull up their financials, their social media accounts, who their investors are, a Better Business Bureau rating, employee reviews, customer reviews, court cases, and any PPP loans. I'm actually going to take that out. The data is about 2 years old, 3 years old at this point. And then company site search. This is pretty neat. Here's the example I give. So if you go to 3m.com's website, right, let's do it, there's probably, if I were to kind of look at their navigation, there's probably, let's call it 3,000 pages on their company website, because what we're looking at is their marketing site. Well, every company has a lot more pages than that. So for example, I can go in here, type in 3m.com, and these are the 256,000 pages that are actually there. And I can sort by PDF files, spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations. Now I use 3M because this is kind of fun. If I go in here and type in employee benefits, so find me the phrase employee benefits, but you're only allowed to look at PDF files on 3M's website. And so I like to say this helps you uncover hidden information, because I bet you don't get to this off of their main marketing website. So those are the things you can find. Just simple site colon search. Existing list finder So I can go in here and type in ghostwriter and see if there are any membership directories featuring ghostwriters. If there are any attendee lists. Nope, nothing there. Or contacts and documents. So there's 5 here. Or contacts in spreadsheets. So I don't use this too often. Sometimes when I'm bored, I'll go through and I've found some pretty crazy lists. Documents online. So I can go in here and type in the phrase ghost writer, health. So the word healthcare is also in. Now, if I put healthcare in here, it would have to be the title of the document. But this allows me to search for Word documents or PDF files. So here's PowerPoint presentations featuring ghostwriters in healthcare. Meeting industry news. This is just a specialized library I build. So again, if I go in here and type in hybrid, I don't get hybrid batteries or hybrid cars. We're only looking at the top 50 or so publications in the meetings industry as an example. Speaker growth ideas, find a reporter. So I might go in and say, okay, I've coming out with a new book. Who are the healthcare reporters in Los Angeles? It'll pull up those folks. Or who are the healthcare reporters at the New York Times? Didn't mean to put that in all caps. It won't matter. Find a podcast, so places that can interview you. And it's going to sort by relevance. So theoretically, the top ones are first. Find a blog. And my favorite is be a guest author. So basically, these are publications saying, would you please write for us? Because what's cool with this is you can put your little bio at the end, a paragraph, a byline, linking back to your website, linking back to your book website, which gives you really nice search engine optimization. And then in your bio, you might say something like, as seen in Healthcare Rising Arizona, as seen in Salary World, as featured in eHealth magazine. So it's just a way to get your content. Obviously, you're all great writers. So my guess is any of you could fill out this form and they'll take your content on a regular basis.
Sam, I'm impressed that there were so many pages that were labeled "Write for Us."
Yeah.
I think
here's the thing, right? I mean,
saying if they want writing assignments, they'll find out who to contact, what their terms are, what they pay, if they pay. What
this number isn't right, by the way. There's not 10 million. Because again, the results are accurate, but because I'm doing a super long search, I'm messing with Google's algorithm, so that number is not right. Don't even pay attention to it, but the results will be accurate. And Dan, you know better than anybody. What's going on here is there's so much content out there that relies on daily articles, daily news articles, daily updates, tip sheets. There's not enough writers out there, so hey, we'll promote you if you help us. That's kind of the deal with these. Sometimes you can even get paid.
You created a search for me, so that might inspire other people when they ask questions of you. And I said, Sam, I like to write nonfiction books that for executives who want to leave a legacy and share their top 10 rules for success or rules for life, business success, whatever. And there's no group that does that. They don't belong to a LinkedIn group. They don't identify as motivational executives. They're just, really accomplished people who want to leave a legacy in the world. How can I possibly find them? And then you came up with this, and I'll let you take it from there.
A few ways to do it, right? We can do, let's say you wanted to find someone at 3M, they've been involved in innovation. And they have the job title. They have the word chief, or the word will be a good one. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. They have the word chief, and they live in Minneapolis. Okay, but they graduated school somewhere between 1965 and 1975.
And
So they're
frankly, that's
probably
what I think.
thinking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry to speak over you. I think that's part of where the brilliance comes in, because I could find executives at 3M who might be 35 years old and don't want to write a book at this point in their career. But putting in that time delimiter, which is,
Yeah.
I never would have thought about that. When did they go to school? And maybe we pick the Ivy League schools, so
Here's
they'd
one.
be higher up in the food chain. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So what do we find here?
Only one at 3M under those criteria.
Right. But if I were to branch this off,
Yeah, I could say,
down.
now here I could do, owner. I'm going to do CEO or founder. Minneapolis technology. Now, this will pull quite a bit more. You can click on any one of these.
Right. And these would all be the older people who would be in my target group who would say, yeah, I want to leave a legacy, and here we are. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant way to find someone, because it would be very easy to find CEOs in the healthcare industry if you just wanted to write a bio or contact them. But I gave Sam what I thought was an impossible search for finding a human characteristic of people, and yet he did find it. Can you tell people about how to find more information about your search engine?
Well, the speaker engine is simply Intel. Now I spell it goofy. Intel, NGIN.com. So intelngn.com. And this has some of them. I've got probably 50 more that I haven't put on here. But the speaker one is right here. And that search link AI tool, like this might be overkill. Like if you said, Sam, I just need, because this is like $39 a month. So it's not a lot. You land 1 gig a year out of it. It has 1,000x ROI. But maybe you say, okay, Sam, I really don't care about a lot of this stuff. Like I don't care about Conference Finder, speaker decision makers. Can you just build one for authors that might have just 5 or 6 things in here? So if that's something you're interested in, I could easily build a search link tool that very much like this, but very targeted toward your world. So if that's something you want, Dan, just let me know.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks for listening. You can find more than 100 videos on our YouTube site to help you write your book in a flash. Check them out.